Hey everybody, welcome back to a new episode to kick off 2025 in our Educator Conversation series. I'm so excited to be with Trey Perry today. He's in his fourth year at McCool Junction in Nebraska. He is the high school English and multimedia educator who has led their student broadcast and media program to grow and empower over 40 students between junior high and high school classes each year. He's also the sponsor for McCool Junction Student Media and is assistant coach for his school's One Act and speech programs. What's wild about impacting empowering 40 students is McCool Junction's a small Class D school in Nebraska and averages in 7th to 12th grade an enrollment of 120 students. So nearly half their students are engaged in the program. I am so excited to be with Trey today. Welcome to the show, Trey.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
You bet. So you've watched these, everybody watching these, if you're new to the show, we dive right into the program. I've been waiting. You just had a child before Christmas there, so I've been waiting to do this interview. I know you've got a lot on your plate. I did enjoy watching the vlog you did earlier this fall, the day in the life. You've done some really great things.
Awesome. I appreciate it. And yeah, especially the social media content that we've started to break into this year, that was completely new for a lot of my students. And that's been a lot of fun to just come up with ideas and see the kids put them together. So,
yeah. So those that have watched, and if you're new to the program, we start off every episode with the educators in our conversations so that you can learn how to either start or grow your program. And Trey's gone all in with us at Striv Education. We love your program. We've been into your classroom. We've provided you production analysis, but we love to ask this question of what are the three most important things when you're starting, what they need to know, teachers need to know when starting a program for broadcasting and digital media.
Yeah, so I'm sure these differ depending on who you are and what you feel is most important for your area and your school, and obviously the size of your school as well. But for me, at least in the past 4 years of building our program, I think the very first thing that comes to mind when we think about this is not being afraid of trying something new and not taking too long of time to think about it. I'm one that believes that if we think about something for too long, we're going to start thinking about all the negatives that could happen, and eventually talk ourselves out of it. So there's been so many times over the past 4 years where the kids have come up with something, or even I'll just think of something while I'm at home. And of course, those thoughts do creep into your head of well, this will be more work on our plate. Obviously, this could go wrong. This could go wrong. But if you stop yourself from that mindset and just be like, you know what, I had this thought in my head because I thought it would be a cool idea. So why don't we just try it out? And if it doesn't work out, fine. We can think of a way to tweak it, or we can think of something different to do, whether it's similar or not. But that has led to so many different awesome things that we've done over the past 4 years. For example, our school newspaper just deciding it used to just be kind of a pamphlet that was put together with just PDFs essentially. And so we decided we wanted to do a completely redesign and make it look like an actual newspaper. And that does take a lot of work every month, a lot of work. But we just tried it, and we like how it turned out, and the community loves it. And so after we tried it the first time, we're like, there's no way we can turn back now. We just made this cool thing. And so we're going to find a way to make it work. And now we're on year 3 of the hoof print, and it's become a staple. So yeah, so definitely that would be the first thing. Just do it. don't think about it. Just do it, and find a way to make it work. After that, obviously we're working in schools, so we should not be the ones that do a lot of the work. Now, obviously, we're in charge of the program, and if things go wrong, we should take responsibility for things going wrong. But give your students responsibilities, because not only is if you're trying to do everything, especially with us having our newspaper and the Strive channel and our social media content and the yearbook. Like we have a bunch of things going on all the time. And if that's just on us as the teachers, we're going to drive ourselves insane. So give your students responsibilities and don't be afraid to trust and rely on those students. It can be scary giving a 16-year-old or whatever the reins to our newspaper that gets delivered all around McCool and even some locations in York, because you're afraid of what will go into that publication.
Yeah.
But if you give them the trust and you show them what to do and give them the skills, like it has baffled me of the buy-in that the kids have taken in all of the different mediums that we produce, and just the ideas that come out of them being in their roles too. So that's a huge one, and that um, we do that in a couple different ways with creating student managers for our newspaper, student managers for our broadcast production, what have you. And we got to test that in full extent. Like you said, I had a kid before Christmas, and so I was gone for a month and a half. And
Mm.
so pretty much the entire first semester when I was here was prepping the kids for when I was gone. And so that idea of giving the kids responsibilities and implementing that just went into full bore when I was gone, and they absolutely killed it. There were some hiccups here and
That's
there.
awesome.
Yeah, there were some hiccups here and there, but um, the thing that I was most proud of them about was they figured it out without me there. And all of the issues of the hoof print were printed on time. Strive was ran solely by them. We were still posting plenty of social media content, and so um, yeah, if you give kids things to do and let them kind of take the reins themselves, they're going to run away with it. And
It's the best educational experience you can give them, right? Yeah, obviously you would have loved to be there, but you put your family first, which is what you should do.
right.
But did did you trust them before that, or did trust increase even more because of that experience that they went through? Did they have to earn that to?
So um, trust was there, I would say, especially with like my returners that have been. You can take our media classes however many years you want, as long as it works with your schedule. So I have several kids that have been with me since their freshman year and they're seniors now, and so I obviously trust the returners that have had experience, and so I definitely relied on maybe those upperclassmen a little bit more in that instance when I was gone. But I was also impressed by a couple kids that this is their first year doing this kind of stuff because they had to step up when I was gone, in order to help those upperclassmen in those managerial roles. And so it was a little bit of both. And I like to structure the classes a lot like it's a job, honestly. Um, I have managerial roles, and then other kids that don't have a manager role, they're part of crews, as we call them, whether that be Strive or Hoofprint or whatever, and they have responsibilities themselves. And um, my emphasis is to see them grow throughout the year. So I'm not necessarily grading them on like a scale of like, okay, you posted this video to
Mhm.
social media, you get 20 points for it. I don't, that's just not my philosophy. Like if you do your job and you work hard in my class, you're going to pass. Just like if you work hard and grow in your job later in life, you're going to be successful. Um, and so no matter what, if you're a hard worker, you're going to go places. And if you develop your skills. So that definitely happened during that time period, and I was super impressed with my classes.
Yeah, they're all passing. No matter what
They're all
happens the
passing
rest of
so
the
far.
school year, they passed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Love it. And you got one more thing that I think is really, really important. I would love you to share about how to
Yes,
sell your
absolutely.
program.
Um, so yeah, especially at maybe if you're a teacher at a smaller school that doesn't have the budget to put on these amazing productions, or you don't have a studio built into your school or something like that, you need to find a way to market and sell your program, not only to your administration, but also to the community as a whole. Because if you find ways to show people that the things we're doing at the school are not only setting the students up for more with more skills to be successful later in life, but also that we have opportunities to bring in money for the school itself, you're going to get more funds, not only in the form of donations from the community, but also it's a lot easier to ask your administrators to buy a new drone if they
Right.
if they know you're going to
Always
make an
helps.
awesome commercial or video with it. So and we've done that in a bunch of ways too. We make commercials for businesses around the community. Um, we advertise on social media as best as we can. We get the kids out there making content, and so like getting people to see what you're doing and that it's effective is going to in turn get you some return in your investment of time. And I've had community members just donate equipment to me too. Someone donated a drone to me a couple years ago, and like I said, it's time for a new one. But uh, it's just been amazing to see what community members will just shoot you an email about and be like, "Hey, could you ever use this in your media classes?" Yeah, we'll find a way to use that. Absolutely. So yeah, that's absolutely essential. If you can definitely start out with basic equipment to make an awesome show or broadcast or newspaper, but eventually you're going to want to start upgrading. I think everybody's goal is to eventually upgrade, at least if you're a growth mindset kind of person. Um, and so unfortunately you need money to do that a lot of times. So
Yeah, that's the reality. That's the
yeah,
reality, and everyone understands that. I love you guys have put stuff into the community, and the community sees that. They see the impact that it's having on your students. As taxpayers, as a public school, they want to give back. I think communities are yearning to see students engage in
yes,
this way, and this is the best way to do that. And you guys have absolutely proved that and continue to do that, and have seen the fruits of that labor. So
yes,
what this kind of transitions well with students engaging with the community, and administrators and educators trying to connect with the community. When you think about broadcasting and even creating social media content, how do you think that's helped your students improve their communication skills?
yeah. I mean, there's so many different types of communication that go into what we do on a daily basis, at least for us here. Like I mentioned before, we have several different groups that have to work in conjunction with one another in order for us to put out the things that we do every week. And so, I mean, the first type of communication is learning how to communicate with each other and their team members, because um, while especially here at a small class D school, they see each other all the time. Like they might as well be siblings, some of them. They see each other in the halls. They're almost in every class together, but like they are still learning how to communicate effectively to solve a problem. And we do that every single day because we have to, like for instance, my hoofprint managing editor has to communicate with her crew about, okay, our deadline for the story, if we want the issue to come out in time anyway, our deadline is this day. Where are we at on stories?
Mm.
Does Perry need to help you guys find any more information? Do I need to help you guys write if you're confused on anything? And so, like that constant communication of just checking in and learning how to do that without making, because teenagers they're touchy sometimes. So, like it's a skill in itself for the kids to figure out like what words to use when they have to get on one of their peers. Hey, we're getting close to the deadline, and you haven't given me any update of where you are with your story. And so, learning how to effectively communicate with team members in that way, and coordinate everything, whether that be with the hoof print or with production during a sports broadcast. Especially this year, we've thrown in a bunch of new equipment that we didn't have before.
Mm.
This is the first year we've ever had more than one camera in our broadcast, and so our directors have to know, and that's been a challenge. That has been a challenge, like showing the kids how much the director has to talk to the other people in the production during during a game is it has I think been a little eye opening for them, because these guys they don't realize that you have to count down from commercials. You have to let them know when when you're on their shot, and so many other things that they just didn't think about. And so team communication has definitely been improving for these kids that are in this program.
Well, yeah, if you go from one camera and no one really talking during the
Yeah,
entire broadcast other than your announcers, which you
exactly.
mentioned, just using the proper language when you broadcast. And now essentially the director has to be talking the entire broadcast to
Hmm.
the team. And so you go from no talking to now you need to be talking the entire game, but you're not announcing the game. You're communicating with a team to bring that broadcast to life is a huge adjustment. And kudos to you guys for investing in that. I know we helped you guys with the equipment and went through
Yes.
Strive AV, so we can't thank you enough for that. You've been a huge supporter of that. So I know Eric's helped you on the production analysis with some of your announcers. How have you seen their communication improve announcing games?
Yeah, I mean, when you throw teenagers on a microphone, it can be scary sometimes. You and it has been scary sometimes because there's some that just get way too excited and they want to say what's on their mind, and we've had to rein them in. And for me, like with all the things that we manage, I've got to have a hand in all of that just to make sure everything's running at least decently smoothly. And so I don't always have time to go back and
Mm,
watch our broadcast.
yeah.
And I miss things just because there's just so much to manage all the time. And so the analysis from Eric has been huge, um, in showing the kids that I'm not just the one that is telling you guys this. Okay, Eric has been a professional in the radio industry for how long, and he's been at Strive for how long, and so he knows what he's talking about, and he's telling you guys these things. And so you can definitely see a switch in their kind of mindset when they watch those analyses. And Eric does an amazing job at like giving criticism, but also um, doing it in a way that the kids like are like, okay, I understand where he's coming from. Like, I'm not offended by that or
Yeah.
anything. And so he's really good at just keeping it to the point, and also giving props at the same time, which is huge with when you're teaching teenagers. And so I know there's one of my students. He's been with me since the start, and he just this year, with since we've been doing the analysis with Eric, even he was already pretty skilled in the first place
Hmm.
with calling games, but now this year being able to see the tips and the pointers from Eric, he's gotten even better.
It's
And
amazing.
it also guides the newer ones that are hopping on the mic for the first couple times this year, of what to look for, especially in the awkward points of the games. I think that like that's been really big that we've got from Eric, is like, what do we do when someone gets injured and they're just laying on the
Yes.
court for 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Eric is really good at pointing out how to handle that as a broadcaster, or different things to talk about rather than just the immediate action that's going on. Like he's done a great job at emphasizing like form stories within stories during a game. And so when you get the kids to think about, it's not just dribbling a ball up and down the floor and saying,
Hmm.
"Oh, they scored a 3-pointer." It's creating a story with those stats. And when you frame it that way for the kids, it opens something different.
It's
Um,
that you hope it's that light bulb moment of transformation, right? Which is the next question of how you've observed, and you probably saw a lot of that with you being out of the building, and they couldn't get a hold of you, they couldn't text you, and or at least they weren't supposed to be. Um, what have you seen? Any specific example, or just in general, the transformation of when students are empowered to create content and broadcast these events? What does that look like for you guys at McCool?
Yeah, so I think that's a great example of when I was gone on paternity leave. Just and the main transformation that I've seen is their ability to think on the fly and improvise when things go wrong, and think critically about what um, not only what they have to plan for our productions, whether that be the newspaper or our streams, but also like being creative in the process of that too. And with the amount of content that we do each week and each month, like I mentioned, there's several deadlines that we have to meet. Um, and the kids have had to think of different ways every month to meet those deadlines, almost, because every month, even though we're putting together the same amount of pages for the hoof print, or we might have around the same amount of broadcasts for Strive, like there's always some sort of different aspect to it in some
Mm,
way. Like, for example, in December, we were only in school for really 2 weeks. And so our deadlines for the December issue of the hoof print had to be met a lot quicker. And December was a little bit busier for us in Strive, so a lot more um, students had to fill shifts, and so then my managers had to creatively think and figure out how we were going to get all these shifts filled,
mm,
so that we could have broadcasters in both cameras and everything like that. And so, especially when I was gone, them figuring out that for themselves was, I think, one of the biggest things that they had to figure out how to do. Um, and like I said, the especially my students that are in manager roles, their ability to organize things and figure out things in class on the fly and organize their peers has probably been the one of the biggest skills that I've seen them grow in. Which, again, going back to what I said about structuring it as a job, like you're going to need
hmm
that skill in any career that you go into. So it's been really good to see that.
Yeah, and that's kind of the next part, and you kind of briefly touch on that. As you, for those that don't know, Trey was in the journalism industry, worked TV news, and we won't. That could be a whole nother episode. But you do have that background, and so now you're teaching students how to maybe be prepared to go work at a news station, or all these other different ways you can now be part of media. You want to continue kind of touching on those skills, how it prepares these students for a digital workforce that's here and now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, obviously, we've got to use several different types of technology when we're putting all of these things together. So, we use a lot of Adobe products
Mm,
for putting together our newspaper. We use InDesign for editing videos. We use Premiere Pro. And we use Audition for editing audio if we're doing a project for that. But then also, like, for smaller projects, we use Canva, and so they're learning all of these different technologies that, I mean, Adobe's used by professionals, so like they're learning the tools that professionals are using right now.
yeah.
And so, and the good thing about a lot of these softwares that we use is, like, honestly, if you learn one, you can probably figure out any
Yeah.
of them, because
Yeah.
they have a lot of the same type of features. So they're learning not only how to navigate these universal types of softwares, but then how to put together and design things on them. And that's going, I mean, they're going to need that type of technology knowledge. I mean, pretty much in any job that they go into probably nowadays, because any type of career is going to want you to know how to use those types of things. So,
Yeah.
um, Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the knowledge workforce. I've been reading. I'm always, we named our community Future Ready Educators so that we can prepare students for the future, which is everyone's goal, right? And that's what I love about teaching students about media and broadcasting is that they're developing skills, they're stacking skills with technology. They're going to prepare them for whatever knowledge work, 5 years ago, AI didn't exist. ChatGPT
Exactly.
didn't exist. And
Right.
so now it does. And so how do we adapt, with technology and these skills that they're learning to think critically and take ownership of their learning? And you guys have done an incredible job of that. Um, love your story. There's so many different, things we could continue to talk about. But we always end the show with a humble brag, our shameless humble brag of the training and the resources. Like I told everybody for the show, Trey has gone all in with Striv Education, AV, and we are super grateful for that. And would love for you to just share kind of high level some of the tools and resources that you have got that have really helped you grow your program. When I think about when you first started, I mean, you were starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Damon was like, Trey's our guy. Damon, your superintendent, used to be the guy sitting at the
Yeah.
computer,
Yeah.
and he somehow got you and recruited you really, really well. And look at the fruits of that labor and the program that you've built. But we've been the guy, helping you alongside the way. But you're the hero, and the students are the hero. But there's some tools and things you've used I'd love for you to highlight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I remember in my first year when Dade did bring me in, it was,
Yeah,
uh,
Dade. I'm sorry, not
no,
Damon.
you're fine. Um, he had we had one camera, and it was just, yeah, usually him or his sons just going back and forth. If we're thinking of basketball, just running the camera back and forth so that people could at least watch it when they're at home. And so um Eric and Hoosier were instrumental in helping me figure out what type of equipment to bring in, so that students could get more involved in calling games. That's where we started. We just wanted to get some kids in there to be able to broadcast a game.
Yeah,
And so after we got that step in with soundboards and headsets and everything like that, then I was like, okay, how can we start to integrate some commercials and some graphics? And then we just kept going step by step like that. And I remember Eric, he came down. It was either last summer or the summer before that, and I think I still have the picture of it in my phone, but we drew on my whiteboard just a map of what the setup would look like to
yes,
have all of the different um, components that we have today. um, and so Eric drawing that up there so that I could visualize it was just insanely helpful. And then getting together with him and Hoosier, to actually put an invoice together to order the equipment. And then obviously I think the biggest thing that I love about working with Strive is just you guys, the
yeah.
people.
Oh,
Like the equipment's great and the program is great and the everything you guys provide from a software perspective and curriculum is great. But whenever I need something, you guys come to the school if I need you to, and you're there to help me through it. I can call Hoosier whenever I want. I had to apologize to him a couple times because I bothered him on a couple Saturdays and I felt really bad. But he was like, "Nope, no, we've got you." And so Strive support has been so helpful in helping me figure out emergency situations during broadcasts, even with the littlest questions. And sometimes it's just Hoosier telling me, "Yeah, you've got to just adjust this setting in Wirecast really quick," and then I feel like an idiot. And but it's just small things like that that go a long way. I know I can always just rely on the people, which is awesome. But I also use the certification courses that you guys put together for play by play and the camera operator. There's been several of my students that have taken those to just learn the basic skills that are needed to run a broadcast. I use the entire middle school digital curriculum that you guys provide for my junior high students, because sometimes I struggle a little bit to figure out how to make it a little bit simpler for my seventh and eighth graders than the stuff that I have my high schoolers do and how to make it different. And so that has been really helpful and time saving for me to have a curriculum right in front of me that I can go off of, especially for my junior high students. Um, and so, yeah, all of that I've taken full advantage of. I love the future ready educator space because I can talk to so many different um, media educators, not only from Nebraska, but from around the country. And I love the posts where we get a comment chain going and I can see what other people are doing. And I love going to the summer workshops to connect and listen to the presenters there. And so I have learned so much. I thought I knew a lot working in the TV news industry, um, but I've learned so much through the 4 years working with you guys, and I appreciate everything you guys have done because we would not be where we are. We still got a long way to go, but we would not be where we are without you guys being there for us. So we really appreciate it.
Well, if you're watching this, that's what it takes to grow. You mentioned growth mindset during this, and I want to highlight that because if you don't have that type of mindset, building a program like this, starting a program is not going to work because that's absolutely what you have to have because you're going to go through some bumps and bruises. I remember when, you couldn't get your soundboard to work and there was frustration there and realize, yeah, we maybe need to upgrade some equipment. You pair it with some of the other resources, the community, showing up at the workshops. Like you've got to invest so that you can save time later and you can take a month off and everything runs smoothly. But it's taken you, you're in your 4th year. It's
Yeah,
taken that much time to do that, to be able to save time on the back end. And I think that's what I want to highlight and thank you. Like you are the example. That's why we do these shows and conversations so that other educators can learn from each other. And December was amazing for the community. And so if you have not joined, we call it FRE, Future Ready Educators Community, you can go in and see all of the things that these folks did. And I know you were off during that time, so you weren't able to post, but I'm sure you're maybe checking in on that in December. But even recently, just how you choose managers was a really great conversation. So there's some
yes,
really great things. You can click the link below to join that. And we'll put McCool Junction student media links there too. You guys are on
yes.
social posting things behind the scenes and interviews with players, doing some really hype videos and graphics, a lot of cool things that we didn't dive into. We'll try to link those below. Hoosier will put that in the show notes. So thank you so much, Trey. Keep up the great work. And we hope everyone enjoyed this new episode here to kick off 2025. Great conversation with Trey. Thanks, man.
Thank you.